Good evening from Galactic Public Radio and NC. I'm Spencer McDunn, and these are the top headlines from around the known galaxy. Conspiracy theorists around the galaxy are taking a victory lap as one of their most outlandish tales is confirmed. For the latest, we go to Smooth Furnace in the Pleiades sector.
Thanks, Spencer. The defense, medical, bioengineering, genetics, and law enforcement communities of every allegiance and faction were stunned this week at the revelation of a years-long attempt to graft a human pilot into a Thargoid interceptor. The recovered logs from a Type 9 Heavy in Colonia tell the tale of independent pilot Commander Hyford. Commander Hyford, along with a potential passenger known only as D2, may be the only living witnesses to a series of brutal experiments aimed at producing a Thargoid human chimera capable of piloting a Thargoid spacecraft. This so-called Project Seraph, a reference to one of the mythical choirs of angels, was apparently operating under the supervision of the Azimuth Corporation. This is, of course, the same company that chartered the doomed flights of the Hesperus and Adamastor over 2 centuries ago. Medical authorities are scouring their records, sending investigators out to anyone with expertise in the field of xenophysiology who might be able to review the findings, as well as provide alibis for the times in question. Bioengineers and geneticists are scouring their supply logs and inventories to trace potential routes for equipment and reagents that might have supported this ghastly project. Defense and law enforcement experts are scrutinizing every technology transfer and research project remotely connected to Thargoid technology for leaks and thefts. And above the noise of tightly controlled panic coming from institutions throughout the bubble comes a chorus of "I told you so's" from dozens of fringe thinkers, crackpots, and paranoids who have for years been postulating that shadowy organizations have been abducting humans and subjecting them to horrible medical experiments. The migration of conspiracy theorist Kit Fowler from backwater Broadwave repeaters to the galactically available Rewired network could not have been better timed. It's almost like someone knew this was coming. From the Pleiades sector for Galactic Public Radio, I'm Smooth Furnace.
Thanks, Smooth. The news of an extra-legal conspiracy to merge humans and Thargoids could not have come at a worse time for the federal officials struggling to maintain their hold on dissatisfied factions. First, a leak of the early draft of the so-called Bauman report appears to show a lack of oversight on Aegis research personnel and material. This allowed powerful insiders such as Admiral Aidan Tannen and Professor Alba Tesreau to commit resources to pet projects instead of the defense research prioritized by the Federation and other superpowers. Investigators are looking into the possibility that Professor Tesreau's preference for Thargoid communication research may have actually been a cover for the Chimera project uncovered by Commander Hyford. And this additional failure by the Proactive Detection Bureau has once again strained federal institutions. This week, Shadow President Felicia Winters addressed Congress stating, quote, "We now face the possibility of large-scale rebellion as more citizens reject intrusions into their private lives. Unless these authoritarian surveillance laws are repealed, we'll risk more factions and allies losing their trust in any federal government." End quote. And as usual, President Hudson failed to respond, leaving the PDB's main champion, Vice President Jerome Archer, to defend the program on his own. Several well-placed sources tell GPR that a coalition of moderate conservatives and centrist liberals are quietly discussing a motion to censure Archer and remove him from Congress. Finally, in local news, Guard Frequency Response Deputy Assistant Director Richard Clemens testified before the Pilots Federation's Special Subcommittee on Space Rescues this week. He answered questions regarding the shocking revelation that occupied escape pods were provided to clandestine researchers for human experimentation. Director Clemens told the committee, quote, "As a Remlock rescue subcontractor, we are appalled that some independent pilots would stoop to such a thing. We have fired our fair share of pilots who delivered occupied escape pods to pirates and slavers. But this is beyond the pale. Our organization has long been suspicious of Etienne Dorn, the engineer from Colonia. His request for occupied escape pods before granting workshop access has always concerned us. Up until now, our worst-case scenario concluded that he was converting them to a special terraforming fertilizer known as supplemental outdoor use protein, or SOUP. But given the involvement of Thomas Dorn in the experiment, I think we should closely investigate his operation. End quote. Until the next turn of the worlds for Galactic Public Radio, I'm Spencer McDunn. Good night.